It is out. Yep, we know the 2024 National Football League schedule as the Kansas City Chiefs begin their quest to be the first team in NFL history to win back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl championships. But we now have the roadmap and the schedule. We will take a look at it and a whole lot more. This episode is called Map Quest on Defending the Kingdom. It's, of course, brought to you by the awesome folks at Ticketmaster. Hey, now you know you can get set up for your tickets for the season or concerts this summer. Just check it out at Ticketmaster. McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown! Kansas City! McCole Hardman with the catch on the right side. A 3-yard touchdown pass in overtime. Now, hi everybody, I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with senior team reporter Matt McMullen. So many times the NFL's got these exciting off-season days. This is one of them. It's a feeling with the schedule just released, and we have it in front of us, where it's that kind of Christmas morning feeling, but we get it when we start free agency. And but there is some anticipation and some real interest in this 2024 schedule, which is very unique.
It's also an example of how the NFL is like taken over the calendar in every way, because all this is an announcement of the order of the games, like when the primetime games are. We already knew all the opponents. We've known that for months, but what I really get a kick out of is when they announce when the announcement will happen. So it's kind of news when the announcement takes place, which was earlier this week. But I'm with you. It's great for the team, obviously, to know when they're playing these games, what games are on prime time, what holidays they're playing on, all of that. It's also great for you and me, so we can figure out what our lives look like over the next 6 months. Like my wife asking me, like, can we go to this wedding? Can we go to this, whatever? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Now I finally know. So we always love this time of year because we can figure out what our lives look like for the next 9 months.
It will be an interesting life that we will live over the next 7 to 9 months as we will break down this 2024 National Football League schedule with the Kansas City Chiefs. But before we do that, of course, our tradition is to go around the world. And when you're done with that, I've got to bring something up.
Okay. Well, I've got 6 today. Yes. Shout out to Mike in Cornwall. Yes, Brian Cook, who we cannot wait to see next season. Brian Cook's awesome. I can't wait to see what he can do next season. Looking forward to his comeback. Shout out to Mike in Cornwall, England. Mike became a fan way back in 1983 when he got to see them play here in Kansas City against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. So shout out to you, Mike. We heard from Don and Carolyn, big DTK listeners. Heard from Dominic in St. Louis, just across, of course, the state. Ryan is in Newark, New Jersey. Claimed it as Chiefs Kingdom Northeast. We haven't done that in a while, where people claim places all over the world as Chiefs Kingdom something. So Chiefs Kingdom Northeast.
Sovereign property of the kingdom.
Yes, absolutely. We heard from a listener in Denmark. And then we also, from several people, were informed that the Philippines are actually in the Northern Hemisphere.
Oh, well, that was my fault.
That was my fault, too.
No, it was my fault.
We thought it was in the Southern Hemisphere. The Philippines are in the Northern Hemisphere.
Thank you.
Now we know. This show is about so much more than just sports. We're learning things about the world. The Philippines, we should have known, are in the Northern Hemisphere. So now we know.
Right. Well, they're enjoying springtime in the Northern Hemisphere in the Philippines. I got one to add. It's a very interesting group. So a group of visitors from Poland came to GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. They've never been to the States. Their daughter is an exchange student here in the Kansas City metro area. They have another daughter that just became an exchange student in the St. Louis area, but the family had never visited here, but they've become Chiefs Kingdom fans.
Nice.
And so they're representing us in Poland. I was given a gift from them. I'm going to get this right. The Wrocław Panthers. There is something called the European League of American Football. We kind of alluded to it in a past episode when we talked about the German teams.
When we had the Frankfurt Galaxy helmet on our table here. Yeah, it was awesome.
And we're going to get into the European League of American Football on another episode, more so because I didn't realize that in that league, Wrocław had a team. So they presented me with a Wrocław Panthers hoodie. So I have that, but it got me interested in the 17 teams of the European League of American Football. Now, again, we're going to get into this, but I have two favorite teams in that league now. The
Okay.
Wrocław Panthers, right? So that's my favorite Polish team. But, of course, the Hamburg Sea Devils,
Oh, yeah.
who represent my heritage, my great-great-grandfather, who emigrated to the States, is from Hamburg or that area. So, anyway, those are my two teams. But it got me fired up about the 17 teams in that league.
When I was over there last May, I met a whole bunch of awesome people, and one of them gave me this T-shirt from the Frankfurt Galaxy World Bowl champions. I can't remember the year off the top of my head, like 1994 or something. It's the coolest T-shirt, and I wear it around all the time. It's awesome. So I think I'm a Frankfurt Galaxy fan.
Oh, it's awesome.
And also Susie, who listens to DTK all the time from Germany, sent us a bunch of stuff from the Stuttgart team.
Yeah.
So I think I support them as well.
Yeah, and I get this right. The Stuttgart Surge, I believe.
Surge, yeah, that sounds right.
Stuttgart. Yeah, the Stuttgart Surge. Yeah. So, hey, we're with you. We're going to have a whole episode on it. I'm into this league now. And last year, I just got to tell you, Wrocław, I looked it up. They went 5-9, but they came firing back because they beat the let's see, what was the team they beat? The Enthroners. They lost 63-33 in week 1 and came back in like week 10 and beat them 35-6.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, it's a big deal. So we'll talk about the European League of American Football, and I'm embarrassed we talk about the Philippines of the Southern Hemisphere. Totally on me.
Now we know.
Nope, it's on me. But what is on both of us is to reveal this schedule. Now, some of this has been released a little bit at a time. I kind of hate it that the league does that.
The little bits and pieces,
but the league
yeah.
doesn't always do it. People just can't help themselves. When they have it, they got to put it out there. But still, we have the 17-game regular season schedule for the Chiefs. And when the league, remember for years and years and years, we talk about quarter polls of the season. 4 games, 4 games, 4 games, 4 games. To me now, and looking at the dynamic of the 21, 22, and 23 seasons and what the Chiefs have been able to do to get to an AFC championship game and win 2 Super Bowls with 17 regular season games has been remarkable in many ways and unsurpassed in NFL history in many ways. It really has kind of broken down the schedule to me in thirds. If you throw in the bye week, that's 18 weeks, and it feels like 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 weeks. And when I look at this schedule, that's really what it impresses upon me.
And for those listening, driving around that maybe haven't seen it, should we just like run through it real quick?
Yeah, let's go through the first third.
Okay.
We'll break these down maybe in thirds. And I guess we'll go week by week. We'll let you – the first 2 was released, but I'll let you go. We'll go every other week.
Okay. So week 1, everyone knows this already, the NFL kickoff game. We're going to host the Ravens on an NBC broadcast, but should be pretty awesome. That'll be, of course, the banner night AFC Championship game rematch against the Ravens.
And if that's not enough drama, then in week 2, on the 15th of September at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium at 3:25 kickoff, the Cincinnati Bengals will come into play. So this is, talk about forgetting beginning swimming lessons. This is getting right after it with 2 main AFC contenders right out of the gate.
And what I like about this, it's obviously a very tough start to the year. I kind of like that we get both of those teams out of the way early for what it's worth. It's an amazing opportunity for the Chiefs because if you can win both of those games, not only are you 2-0, you also have the tiebreaker over both of those squads that we think will be there maybe toward the end, trying to get maybe the top seed in the AFC. Also, I love that Coach Reid has all offseason to prep for the Ravens and then 9 days to prep for the Bengals. So I think that's significant. After that, we end our tour of the AFC North, and we take on the Atlanta Falcons on the road in Week 3 on Sunday Night Football.
And then the following week, the first division game of the year will be at the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. That's a 3:25 kickoff 1 week after the game at Atlanta on Sunday Night Football.
And then Week 5, we are hosting the Saints on October 7th, and that's Monday Night Football on ESPN.
And then a bye week, October 14th. Remember last year the bye week was smack dab, Smith Center term, right in the middle of the season. Now it comes in Week 6 of the season. But let's stop right there because this is the first third in looking at these in chunks. You mentioned the opening game. Coach has been awesome opening games, 9-2 in his 11 years as head coach of the Chiefs. The only 2 losses, remember the Titans loss in 2014.
I was there in the
stands.
stands.
And then last year's game, the 21-20 loss to the Lions, banner drop game. And Baltimore's very good. They're 7-1 in their last 8 games on the opening week. So John Harbaugh also good to prepare. But just take this third and your thoughts on these first 5 games and a bye in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think the first 2 games are an amazing opportunity for the Chiefs. On both ends, they have extra time to prepare for these teams, and it's a chance to really get going on the season with 2 huge victories, and victories that are going to help in the tiebreaker category as the year goes on. So great opportunity for the Chiefs. It's also nice not having one of those 2 teams looming in like December, because it's a long year. You have injuries. It's a grind. A lot of times we're playing on short rest. Don't have to worry about playing Cincinnati or Baltimore late in the year, at least during the regular season, which is nice. Also, I like that we have the bye coming off Monday Night Football. So one of the things that we always look at is where are the short weeks, and Monday Night Football obviously inherently creates a short week, but not in this case because we're going into a bye. So it's nice that we play the Saints at home on Monday Night Football, and we're not having to turn the page quickly and get ready for a new opponent. We can go into the bye week. So I like that as well.
One of the most difficult things for any of the 32 teams in the NFL is to have Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football on the road and then come into a short week. I don't care if it's the Chiefs or anybody else. And we have had that. In fact, last year it was well known that in December and January, there were 5 straight opponents that had extra days to prepare for the Chiefs. The Chiefs would have a short week. The opponents would have a long week. We put that out there on Twitter/X after it was released after the schedule was released in May. You don't think about it until you live it. And then you're going, oh, my gosh, the Packers have 9 days. The Bills have 14 days. The Raiders have 9 days. We all saw that kind of come to life. In December is the key prepositional phrase. This just kind of goes to the opposite. So let's jump in now to the second third of the season. The bye is over, and I'll let you start with this one because, man, this is going to be a big-time game to start the second third.
Yeah, right after the bye in Week 7, we got a Super Bowl rematch. We're at San Francisco to play the 49ers at 3:25.
And then following that, back to the division and back to the Pacific time zone as we'll take on the Vegas Raiders. That's a 3:25 kickoff on October the 27th.
Then we're back at home in Week 9. We are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football.
And then a little bit of a short week here again because the Denver Broncos will come in the following Sunday, but it's home. So the Broncos will make their visit to GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium on November the 10th.
And then Week 11, it seems like we're always hosting Buffalo. But Week 11, we are going to Buffalo on November 17th to play the Bills at 3:25.
Now it's a rhythm. These 3 weeks, these 3 final weeks of the second third becomes a Sunday rhythm. That is not the case for most of the rest of the schedule. But we come back with a Sunday noon game at Carolina. Now, what's interesting about the schedule is there are 4 different times in the schedule. There are back-to-back road games. We already looked at Atlanta, at Chargers, at San Francisco, at Vegas, November 17-24, at Buffalo, at Carolina. That completes the second third.
Yeah, and let's dive into it a little bit. Obviously, a very tough test going to San Francisco and playing the 49ers. I like that Coach Reed gets the bye week to go into that. You don't have to worry about, like I was saying earlier, playing like on Monday Night Football and then turning the page and immediately getting ready for San Francisco and having to travel there. You get the whole bye week to get ready for them. So that's a real advantage for the Chiefs on that one. And then speaking of short weeks, you kind of alluded to this. Week 9 to Week 10, we play the Bucs on Monday Night Football. Creates a short week against Denver the following Sunday, but at least it's a home game, and at least it's a divisional opponent that you're familiar with. So never ideal having one less day to prepare, but I think having Denver at home, a team that you know very well, and you don't have to travel out to Denver, is certainly an advantage for the Chiefs on that one.
And again, so having the home is good there. And in these back-to-back weeks, at least the first 2/3 of the schedule, you have a week. So you're on the road, but you have a week for the next road game. It's not like you have a short week. And we've lived this too, where you go road, and you have a road and short week road. Although some would say, hey, you're at San Francisco, you might as well just stay out there. Some teams have done this.
Yeah.
Actually, East Coast teams do it. But
my wife wouldn't like that, I don't think.
Nor would Andy Reid. We're coming home to go back. All right, let's go into this final third. And we know what the final third has become. And the NFL is really good at this because every week is drama, but man, it comes to a crescendo in this final third of the season because the NFL is always bringing in a lot of divisional and rivalry matchups. I'll let you start with what – now follow us on this last third because this is where I think, and I think you and I agree, gets a little tricky, and you got to follow this closely because we're in some uncharted territory.
Yeah, so just 5 days after we play Carolina, at Carolina, we're playing the Raiders here at home on Black Friday. So that's obviously a new thing that started last year, are the Black Friday games. Playing the Raiders on Black Friday, I think we need to call it Red Friday, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Has to be.
It's got to be. And everybody will go along. We'll get the Swifties. They'll go, yeah. They'll just stamp it. It's now Red Friday, and it's over.
Can't be Black Friday.
Yeah. And then the following week, it'll be Sunday Night Football at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium against the Chargers on December the 8th. So you'll have a little extra time for that game because the short week of going Sunday, Friday, you'll have the following Sunday at home.
It's kind of like the mini bye going into the Chargers. Week 15, we're then going to Cleveland to play the Browns at noon on December 15th.
And then another short week. The Chiefs will play on Saturday. So keep in mind now, the Chiefs have played on a Friday in this third quadrant. They'll also play on a Saturday. They will host the Houston Texans on December the 21st at noon.
And then we're playing on a Saturday because only 4 days later, you and I will be celebrating Christmas in Pittsburgh because we are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on Christmas.
Well, let's take that game. Let's just take it right here because a short week. You're going to go Saturday, you're going to play Houston, and then go to Pittsburgh the following Wednesday.
Yeah.
And Glenn Conley, of course, one of our guys with 65 TPT, he leads the way. He's been in the league a long time, brought up the point to the two of us. Are we playing every day of the week?
So we're playing every day but Tuesday.
And there are no games on Tuesday, right? Unless we...
As of now.
There'll be one probably by 2025.
You never know. I'm kind of surprised there's not a Tuesday game as of now. But, yeah, we're going to play this season every day of the week except for Tuesday. And obviously that's a quick turnaround. I mean, you're going Saturday to Wednesday. Super weird. There is some experience with it because in terms of days, it's the same as like a Thursday night football turnaround if you play on Sunday. You play on Sunday and you travel to go play on Thursday Night Football. It's the same amount of time, but just seems a little wonky with it being Saturday to Wednesday. But that'll be tough. I mean, really, for me, and we'll finish it up. Week 18, we play at Denver. TBD if it's the 4th or the 5th of January, but we'll end the season in Denver. The two kind of maybe tricky parts of the schedule, in my opinion, that the Chiefs will really need to navigate are those quick turnarounds. Those being from week 12 to week 13, you're playing at Carolina, come home, and play the Raiders on Red Friday. And then in week 16 to week 17, playing the Texans, who we all think are going to be a pretty good team this year. At least it's at home. But then just 4 days later, you're in Pittsburgh playing the Steelers. Those will be the segments of the schedule, in my opinion, that really test the Chiefs this year. Thankfully, we know what they can do, that they can handle it. But those are, I think, the two areas I'm really watching this year.
Perspective. 2 years ago in 2022, and honestly, you could argue the Chiefs have played the toughest schedule in the AFC for sure over the past 5 years. But in 2022, the Chiefs set an NFL record. Their first 8 games of the schedule were against teams with winning records the year prior. Last year, we already talked about it, in December to face, for the first time, I believe, in 35 years, where teams had extra days to prepare for 5 consecutive weeks in December. It doesn't get any tougher than that. I'm just telling you.
No.
And we saw how battle-tested the Chiefs were when they got to the playoffs. The second dynamic here, and I was on NFL Network earlier today, as we're putting this out. It's right after the schedule has been released to the world. But I was on NFL Network earlier today, and I don't want to be misunderstood on this, but this schedule to me, at least the bulk of it, is a byproduct of the popularity now of the Kansas City Chiefs, unprecedented, and of the Chiefs' kingdom. Now, hear me out. It's not to be designed to be cocky or hubris. 31 teams don't like us, right? They don't want to see us win back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl titles. In fact, a lot of them hate us. I got it.
For sure.
But there's a lot of neutral observers or people that are curious about the Chiefs, or even those that hate, will watch or pay attention. The numbers that the Chiefs are drawing are phenomenal and record-breaking in many ways. To me, this schedule is a byproduct of that. and again, I don't want it to be misunderstood, but we have to look at the realities of it. There are so many partners now. And, Matt, doesn't it feel like to you that these partners are going, when do we get the Chiefs? We want the Chiefs if we get dibs on certain weeks.
People also want to watch us to root against us, which that's the era that we're living in now, which is incredible. But, yeah, I mean, if you have Netflix or Amazon or Peacock or all these different streamer services, they want people to watch their product. And in order to get them to do that, to go to their streamer, you need to have a really good team, and we're that team. So we're going to be on some of these different streaming services this year. Of course, if you're local in Kansas City, my understanding is you'll be able to watch it on local television. But if you're national and you want to watch the Chiefs on some of these games, you got to have these streamers. And the league wants to have a partnership with these things. And in order to do that, you got to put the best team in the NFL on their product.
Or we know the Chiefs Kingdom in the primary market is really not just the metro. We know about Lincoln and Omaha and these markets that are somewhere between 65 and 75 in the DMAs that are, when you put them together, all of a sudden you're talking millions and millions and millions of people who, if they don't stream it, now, we're proud of the Chiefs Radio Network. I mean, you can jump right in there with us. But the point is, it's a very real thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Amazon, they're a partner. We want the Chiefs. Netflix, Christmas Day. We want the Chiefs. You get the CBS or the Fox exclusive 325 windows when they get the choice to have it, and that's their one exclusive window to get just one game, they want the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're arrogant here. We're not. It's just a fact of life. But to me, Matt, that just screams when I look at the schedule of when we're playing, who we're playing, the days of the week that we're playing.
Well, in a quick kind of adjacent point to all of this, there are 17 games in a schedule. 8 times during those 17 games this year, as of now, the Chiefs will be the only game on TV in that time slot. So they planned 5 traditional primetime games, those being the kickoff game against the Ravens, 2 Sunday night football games, and 2 Monday night football games. Nice thing about those is all but one is at home. I feel like normally we're playing so many road primetime games, and how many times have we been like at Allegiant or SoFi or all these places, and everyone's just going crazy because they want nothing more than to beat us, and we're the primetime game, and I'm glad these games are at home. So looking forward to that. 2 holiday games that we've talked about, Christmas and Red Friday. I'm not calling it Black Friday. It's Red Friday.
Red Friday.
And then a Saturday
The other Red
game.
Friday. There'll be the Red Friday and then this Red Friday.
Of course, yeah.
The holiday Red Friday.
This will be Red Friday after Thanksgiving. And then the Saturday game against the Texans. My understanding is we'll be the only game on TV in that time slot on that Saturday. So that's 8 games right there. We'll be the only game on TV. And then we're on 5 late afternoon games, like those 325s. And those are generally like 75% of the country gets that game because the Chiefs will be the game that the networks want to show. So that's a bunch of games where the Chiefs are going to be like the only game on TV or like one of only a few games on TV. Only 3 traditional noon games this year, and we don't play one until like mid-November, November 10th against Denver. I mean, you think about even 7 years ago, the Chiefs would play like, 14 noon games. So only 3 noon games. And then that last game against Denver, we don't know when it's going to be. It's all TBD based on what's happened so far in the season. But it's all to say that, yeah, the NFL and the networks, they want the Chiefs on TV because the Chiefs draw. Whether you like us or not, the Chiefs draw and people will be watching.
And we didn't even bring up flexing. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we could totally be flexed. I mean, who knows?
Stay tuned on that. Forward flex. We've been reverse flexed, forward flexed, up and down flexed. But it's an exciting schedule. And I'm actually encouraged with the way that it breaks out. But we got them in thirds. And blame me for the old school reference. Don't blame Matt, right?
I know MapQuest.
Matt's a good guy. I just feel like we're on a quest.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be arrogant either. But when you come to work every day, Matt, you've sensed it. We talk about it every DTK episode.
Oh, yeah.
And I just saw Patrick Mahomes in the hallway. Like, there is a feeling of let's go for it. Go for it. Not just talk about it. We're going for it. Back to back to back. That's a quest. But now you and me and the kingdom, we've got a roadmap.
And it feels real now. I mean, we talk about it all offseason up until this point. We know the opponents, but it feels kind of far away at that point, like when the draft's going on, when free agency's going on. It feels like we're still talking about last season. But when you have the schedule in your hand and you know when these games are happening, the quest for 3 in a row feels very real. And we got OTAs next week. I mean, training camp's going to be here before we know it. it's getting real. And before we know it, once again, we're going to be hosting the Ravens on September 5th.
Now you know what we know, and we all know. The Chiefs are going for it. They're going for back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl championships. Never been done in the history of the National Football League. But now we've got the map.